Saturday. It probably doesn't feel like one since you're here. As mentioned, my name is Kearney. I just finished my thesis and my time here at college. I was a computer science major. And I remember when I had my orientation, when I was sitting, not in this room, but in the same position that you all are, I was thinking, what did I get myself into? Why did I sign up for this? What am I doing here? I'm really glad that imposter syndrome was mentioned, because everyone in this room, to some degree or another, has some kind of imposter syndrome, I guarantee it. So I'm going to admit something publicly for the first time. In high school, my GPA was 2.7. You belong here, I promise. It's cheesy to say, but the community of the honors program is one of the best parts, if not the best part of it. It is welcoming and open and will make you a better person. So please, go to the house, hang out, go to the events. Because I met all of my best friends at the honors program, especially as a computer campus. Something that we kind of miss out on is the opportunity to form those lifelong bonds. If you come here, you go to class, and then you go home. But when you're in the honors program, you have the house, you can make friends there, and then they'll be there next semester, which isn't the case when it's just your classmates. Talk to Megan, who is the director of the program. It's a real shame that she couldn't be here for this morning, but she will be here later. I've known her for 2 years, and all that time she's only bitten me once, so I promise she's nice. And any concerns, same with Jen, any concerns you have, bring it to them. Don't get you sorted. All right. Let's talk about thesis. So, when you are ready to present your thesis, you get to do it in this giant room with a screen almost as big as this wall, in front of often some very important people. I had a former congresswoman of mine. The president of the entire university was at some people's. I know that the whole idea of doing an undergraduate thesis can be kind of scary, especially if you don't come from a traditionally academic background. But honestly, just think of it as a chance to stand on your soapbox and shout at some people about something very important to you for 18 minutes. That's what it is. You get the opportunity to pick anything. It doesn't even technically have to have anything to do with your major. Spend about a year or more researching it and preparing it and perfecting it and then deleting half of it because you realize it's garbage, starting all over, and changing your topic several times until finally you run out of time and you have to present what you have. But you get to just talk to people about something that matters to you. Don't worry if your major is something that's not traditionally academic, as mentioned. You can do your thesis on anything. Last semester we had an early childhood education major, and her thesis was literally, this is my favorite children's book, and we're going to read it together, and I'm going to tell you why I like it so much. Any idea that you have, anything you want to talk about, that can be your thesis. You want to start early as you can. Even if you're not sure what you want to do, still get started. Probably have some semblance of what you want your thesis to be about, even if you're not entirely sure what the thesis statement or abstract will be yet. My thesis was about artificial intelligence. When I took the first class, the one-credit class where you just start to put it together, I was going to talk about how dangerous artificial intelligence is and how it's going to destroy us all. halfway through that class, I changed my mind. I was going to talk about how great artificial intelligence is and how we need to embrace it as soon as possible. By the end of it, I changed it again to artificial intelligence is going to be necessary for humanity, but it can be extremely dangerous if it's misused. And that story happens to everyone. No matter who it is, they always end up changing their thesis topic multiple times. Some people even change to a completely different field because they tried to start researching it, and then they realize, you know what, I actually do not want to spend a year or more of my life working on this. Sometimes they completely reverse their position, like I did several times. It doesn't matter. The only thing that really matters is getting started. You do have to meet at least one faculty member who will be your thesis advisor. For most people, this ends up being one of their teachers. In my experience, it usually ends up being one of the teachers who teaches the senior classes. For computer science, there are fewer teachers in classes, so often the same teacher teaches multiple classes, so you have multiple semesters to get a chance to know them. It can be a little scary asking someone who you just met a couple weeks ago to take on this big project group, especially when they're a professor and you know that they're busy. So do keep that in mind. Try to form some bonds, perhaps. Don't be a teacher's pet, but start looking for somebody who might be willing to be your thesis advisor, especially somebody who you know you'll be seeing again as you progress through your major program. If you are in STEM, so science, technology, engineering, mathematics, you want to start a little earlier, especially if you think you'll be doing actual research, just because it does tend to take longer. If you think your thesis might involve any human subjects, really start as early as possible because you're going to have to go through a process called IRB, the Internal Review Board, and that is something I fortunately got to avoid, but I've heard it's a nightmare. So if you are thinking that using human subjects is something you might want to do, go for it, but let Megan know as soon as possible, and she will point you in the right direction. As mentioned, I know it's scary. You belong here. You're in the right place. You're going to do great things, especially if you stick with this program and you really let yourself get absorbed into the community. Does anyone have any questions for me?
What is Thesis seminar like?
Oh boy. Do you think that you don't get any sleep now? No, that's a great question. The question was, what is Thesis seminar like? So I mentioned that you have the one credit class where you basically just put together your abstracts. That's the one you take first. Thesis seminar is something you usually aim to take in the last semester of your college career, although you don't have to. And in fact, it may even be wise to do it earlier. That way you're not doing thesis seminar and all your final classes in the same semester. Thesis seminar is when you do actually write the undergraduate thesis, put it all together, and then do your presentation. By the way, your thesis, the length can vary. Some people's theses are 8 pages at the end. Some people's are over 100. It really depends on your subject matter and what you're studying. But there is no minimum page requirement on here. It is a matter of, do you feel like you did a good job and put in an appropriate amount of effort into this project?
Why or how was it beneficial for you to be in the honors program?
That's a great question. So the honors program benefited me by teaching me how to become a more convincing human being. When I first joined the program, I had trouble coming out of my shell. I was a bit shy, but I did learn to make friends, talk like a normal person, and I do mean it when I say that I formed so many lifelong friendships through this program. Turns out I still hang out with some of you, even though that I've graduated. I plan on hanging out with some people in this room for a while longer. Others, won't name any names. Anything else?
Did honors help you get a job out of school?
Maybe. That's a great question. Did honors help me get a job? It's impossible to say whether I would have gotten the job I have now if if I hadn't been in honors, but I can say that every single interview I had, the thesis, which I put on my resume, was brought up, and I did talk about being in the honors program. And every single interviewer was impressed by that, just because it shows initiative to be willing to take something beyond your normal responsibilities. The job I have has nothing to do with my thesis, but I do think that it didn't hurt. I can say that much. I do think it helped. Okay, go ahead.
Is your work published? Does it actually get published?
It's a great question. Does your work get published? Mine didn't, because there's a problem going on with the Auraria library. So I'm supposed to get access to be able to submit it, and that was supposed to happen like 3 months ago. So. Your work does get published in the internal Auraria library. So maybe someday, eventually, you'll be able to go pull up mine. You can pull up other honor students and read them if you wish.
I know MSU is running a journal, and you can submit your research to that journal as well.
Apparently, MSU runs a journal, and you can submit to that journal as well. Those are great questions. Keep them coming. Go ahead.
Did you feel, did you go for your master's, or did you feel that this actually prepared you, made you feel 100% confident in the master's program?
It's a great question. So will this help me show for my master's? Absolutely. I think that just in terms of applying to graduate schools, being able to say, hey, I've already done an undergraduate thesis, I've already done research, is going to be a massive, massive impact. I do plan to go to graduate school after working for a year or two. Just gotta pay off those fun student loans. Anyone else? Yeah.
What did you hate the most about being in the honors program?
The thing I hated the most was being asked that question right now. It's gonna sound cheesy, but the thing I hated the most was graduating and then having to say goodbye to her.
Aww.
Go for it. I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
What is the time limit, like how much time are you given to actually complete your thesis?
Oh, okay, that's a great question. So, how much time are you given to complete your thesis? Surprisingly difficult question. because
Depends
I
when
think
you
it's so nice.
start.
Yeah, it does depend on when you start. So you can start next semester if you want. You can take the seminar class. It's generally recommended that you wait until you're closer to graduating, just so that you've gone through your discipline a little more, and then you are able to make a better informed decision of what you want to talk about and what you want to research. But you can start whenever. And I will tell you that when you are actually taking a thesis symposium, if you get to a point where you think you might not finish before the semester ends, that is actually okay. There is, in fact, a program in place to make it so that you can just take an incomplete with the class and then take as long as you need, well, maybe not as long as you need, but at least another semester's worth of time to finish writing the thesis. What's that?
Can I say something real quick about that?
Go for it.
So I think that whether or not you take thesis seminar, like whether you start the track officially, as you start working your way through your discipline and you come across sources or you come across people or you come across ideas, in fact, I put a notebook in your swag bag that you get later to start jotting down thesis ideas. So when you are going through your classes and you run across people or subjects or the things that like, wow, I wish I had time to really dig into that, you can start on your own whether or not you start taking the classes yet, and it's super helpful. Also, that being said, we have thesis symposium every semester, the week before finals, and to start coming to those when other students are presenting gives you ideas and helps you think about your topic in that sort of framework, and that helps too. That's another way.
So the short answer to how much time you have really is how much you need. The program is very happy to work with you.
I can say something.
Yeah.
I just want to say, I've served on a few, as chair of a few honors theses since being here, and I think sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming to think about this stuff. as you are preparing to enter into the honors program and then during your time here. But you know, if you want to go to grad school or if you don't, I don't think it necessarily matters. I think the expectation oftentimes is as an honor student, you make those next steps. But find something that you can kind of put on your resume or your CV as having learned through your thesis. And I think having that product, whether it's 8 pages or whether it's 200, at the end is extremely important. So, you know, if you want to get a job working for an organization where you do survey research or interview, you know, audience members, that kind of stuff, you know, you can do that kind of thing in your honors theses, and so you would have that skill set. So I think, you know, the sooner you can kind of figure out what it is you want to do when you grow up, as we say, the better. But there's really no rush. I mean, what do you enjoy? What do you like doing? Once you kind of find that, it makes picking this stuff out so much easier, and it doesn't feel so much like a burden or a massive project, but rather you're kind of developing skills that help you once you get outside of school here.
One of the most exciting things about Thesis is it's pretty much the only thing you can do in college that will last more than 1 semester. And again, you're not locked into whatever you choose doing. As mentioned, my job had nothing to do with what my thesis ended up being. Even though I wish it did, sometimes that's just life. All right, if there's no more questions, I will say again, please do try to integrate yourself into the community. Please say hi to me. I've had the pleasure of meeting some of you. I hope I get to meet many more of you. I'll be at the Ice Cream Social for a little bit. Please do come to the Honors House. I know it can be intimidating, especially since it's such a tightly knit community, trying to figure out how to inject yourself into there. But if you go there, someone will say hi, I promise. If no one does, come to me, and then I know that somebody will feel their training.
You'll beat them up.
Thank you very much.